And in the martial arts, as fascinating of a journey as it's been, there's a lot of layers of bloodshed imagery and sadness and self-destruction that seems to come with the antics that are involved. So I've been pursuing grace as a way to express myself, as opposed to hostility or bumping into things. There's a certain squareness or robotics to basics in martial arts. And as you evolve through the years, you start to see these flows and these patterns, and you get like Yoshiba, Aikido. He was working in the shapes of seashells. He became like a phonograph you threw a rock on, it would throw that rock away. So through centrifugal force and free will, he was his own son of a galaxy. So he could gather and project whatever energy was needed, but he had to refine his gestures through nature's golden spiral. Can't really be much else. I kind of left the forms alone. I really broke away from it and started using that vocabulary to poetically express my frustrations more. I did anti-kung fu. So I started not cooperating with tradition. I had a new invention every week. Eventually, after this really amazing rain, all these fascinating sticks kind of washed out onto the beach. And they started sort of speaking to me. So why am I hearing this imaginary voice about this weird stick over here? And I started picking them up and noodling with them. And I found certain shapes would not allow you to be hostile. So they were like these washed up pieces of divinity, and not knowing that they were just contours of love and contours of creation and consistencies in the way a creator manifests. And eventually wound up with a, hey, I'm onto something here. And I got some ideas for some prototypes. So how the heck am I gonna do this? And again, kind of fate stepped in the way. The one I had recognized as the Fibonacci spiral, I had seen that in some books, but the others I really wasn't sure. And they wound up being a diapason octave and a Vesica Pisces, and then the Fibonacci spiral. And so I was using my newfound freedoms, these alternative movement contraptions that I was making, and would just fight into the winds. So I'd mimic the ocean and just give it all I had. I eventually broke through the fighting modes and wound up finding avenues. And these avenues I could burrow into the wind while I mimicked the tides. And it was the most honest with these contraptions at all. I've needed a tangible evidence to thread my way through. I had already received a Hall of Fame awards for another movement system that I'd come up with, which is a lot of upstreamish type of navigational skills. But your Kung Fu path hadn't dawned on me that it's navigational. And when you stop bumping into things, you start to awake, right? Like awake, like a wave, and awake like an awakening. Suddenly I found these ways where I could listen with all of my skin. And I could feel it, I could hear these voices from the land, and I could just really give it a love that hadn't been present before. There was so much toil with martial physics that you just keep beating yourself down. And this, I finally squirmed my way sort of out into a newfound love, where I can love myself more, I can love the world more, I can pray more, I can bless more, and I can actually even defy gravity in a lot of ways. And it wound up being now what is the perfect human gear. It's pure honesty, but there's such a resonance and a frequency of love that comes from that vibrational honesty, where when you clear it all out and you're left with this truth. And it's really like almost an umbilical cord of newfound birth. There's something very profound when you start carving through space, through sacred geometry. It feels holier. There's another river that runs through the river, which works like highlight. You know, there's a quantum accelerator that runs through the hollow pipe. And sometimes you'll even hear a whistle through it. And it stirs energy faster, like a propeller within a propeller. So through this burring, I found that I could accelerate and really become an aloha generator and become a breath of love, and of one, and stir the soup. And there you are in sacred geometry. The Fibonacci sequence is again omnipresent as you're moving along a water path. Nature's golden spiral is weaving constantly through manifestation. So these are really tangible life streams that open up your possibilities to move honestly. And this embryonic or umbilical cord is like music and information. The same way DNA spins forward. It can flower out, it can spin forward, it can project and gather, but it really feels like you're not forced, but actually blessed enough to tell the truth with every fiber of your being as you're moving through these avenues of grace. They follow this just elliptical grandeur. And with the instrument of touch, you're able to harmonize with nature, as opposed to, I'm water, you know, and splash out. It's, hey, there's a life stream. Even that pondering becomes a more liquid presence. Even the architecture of the sky becomes more graspable through just love and enthusiasm. Personally, I'm able to dream bigger. I feel that I'm creating new galactic councils and new atmospheric opportunities, new wormholes, new vortices that can bring in light. The fact that this is the architecture of running water, once you do look at the science of it, so this is, for me, a dynamic meditation when I can sort of, it's my paintbrush. These vortices, they last forever. And this is a way to communicate with the earth. And this is not just architecture of water, it's actually a communion with the way plant growth and it behaves in movement. So in the I Ching, it's really the only constant is change itself. So there's a certain flow to believing in source and creator and new energy, and that you're actually manifesting as you live and breathe. As we come from the earth and as we return to the earth, these shapes we make will be part of the music and the love that will be the story of humanity for the other realms, for future generations, just for the love and music of it.